Okay, good afternoon, Year 4. I'm going to be reading the class text today, uh, our class text of the Rotten Romans, the Horrible Histories. So far with Miss Kingma, you've got up to page 24, where it says the rottenly clever Roman army. So, the Romans were the best army in the ancient world because they used something their enemies didn't. The Romans used their brains. Are you as brainy? Here are some problems the Romans overcame. What would you have done if you had faced these problems? Number one, Julius Caesar had a land army in Gaul, which is known as northern France today. When the Veneti tribe there rebelled, they captured two Roman messengers and sailed off with them. Caesar quickly had ships built and followed. The Veneti were excellent sailors, but very poor fighters. Caesar needed a weapon that would stop the Veneti ships from sailing off while the Roman soldiers climbed aboard. There was no gunpowder for cannons or bullets. So, what simple but very successful weapon did the Romans make? Number two, after the British Queen Boudica was beaten, the Romans were able to move into the fenlands of the East Anglia. The grass was rich, but the land was very wet. If the Romans tried to wade through the swamps, the local tribes ambushed them. Then a new general arrived from Italy's Pontine marshes. He showed the soldiers how to get through swamps without wading up to their waists in water. What did he teach them? Number three, in the early days of the Roman Republic, the Romans came up against a Greek king, Pyrrhus. The Greeks would go into battle led by elephants. The elephants would charge at the Romans, trample them, and send them running. But the Romans learned quickly. At the Battle of Beneventium, they found a way to face an elephant. They found a way to face an elephant charge and win. What would you do? Number four, some of the young men in conquered lands did not want to fight in the Roman army. It meant leaving their homes, farms, and families to fight and maybe die in some distant corner of the world. The young men cut off their thumb of their right hand so they couldn't carry a sword. If they couldn't hold a sword, then they wouldn't be expected to fight in the Roman army. The Roman generals realized that all these thumbless young men were trying to outwit them. What was their way of stopping this? Number five, one day Emperor Hadrian went to public baths where his skin was carefully cleaned by a slave with scrapers. He saw an old man rubbing his back against a column. The old man was one of Hadrian's old soldiers. Hadrian asked why he was rubbing himself against a marble. The old man said it was because he couldn't afford a slave with a scraper. Hadrian gave the man slaves and money, but next day the public baths were full of old men rubbing their backs against a marble. They were scrounging for a Hadrian handout. What would you do if you were Hadrian? So here are the answers to them questions. So for the first one, what simple but very successful weapon did the Romans make? The Romans fixed hooked knives onto the ends of long poles. As they neared the Veneti ships, the Romans slashed the enemy ropes and sails to stop them sailing. Then they climbed aboard the Veneti boats and captured the sailors. The leaders were executed and the sailors sold for slavery. Number two, what did the new general teach his soldiers about the marshes? Well, they used stilts. They were a great success at first, but eventually the tribes of the Fens learned to knock the Romans off the stilts and stab them as they fell. Oh, well, it seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. For number three, how did they face the elephants? The Roman front line split into two. The elephants charged harmlessly through the line. They were too clumsy for drivers to stop and turn. The helpless riders just kept going to the back of the Roman army, where there were special troops waiting for them with long, sharp spears. They jabbed the elephants until the maddened creatures turned around and charged back again. The elephants flattened the Greek army, who were not expecting them. And what was the way that the Roman army tried to stop these young men from cutting their thumbs off? Well, simple. They cut off their heads. Anyone trying to avoid army service was sentenced to death. The young men soon learned this new law and decided to fight. Possible death in war was better than certain death by execution. The Romans also branded or tattooed unwilling soldiers. If the soldier deserted, then he would have trouble hiding the fact that he was supposed to be in the army. And for number 5, what would you do if you were Hadrian and everyone was trying to get money off you so that you could have a back scratcher? Simple. Hadrian simply told the old men to rub each other's backs instead. Okay, so I'm going to stop reading the class text there for today. Well, I hope you're enjoying the text. Any questions about what has been read, please don't hesitate to put a message up onto your teams. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.